Hello there. Welcome to Atlanta Community Profiles Show. I'm Lou Whelan. I publish community profiles magazines that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. They are on the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta website for the benefit of realtors who have access to that site. And they are also on atlantacommunityprofiles.com. The magazines are distributed by the real estate agents to home buyers, and they're packed full of information about Atlanta for the benefit of home buyers and increasingly more for commercial buyers and renters. So, as if I can help you with any of your information, I would be happy to. Lou, L-O-U, at communityprofiles.net. I'm also a commercial agent with KW Commercial. My website is louwhelan.com. If I can help you with any real estate related questions, please help me. Please send me an email, lou@louwhelan.com. And so every month we try to corral the president of First Multiple Listing Service and to an interview whereby we learn about the Atlanta real estate market. And today we're back again with the President and Chief Executive Officer, Jeremy Crawford. Welcome back to the show for this month's update on the real estate market. Jeremy, it's been a different situation this year, obviously. We're coming out what was typically a busy spring market, wrapping up at the end of the summer. However, we know that traditional spring market was heavily affected by COVID-19. What's different about this year's market at the end of summer?
Well, Lou, thank you for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here. And what we're seeing FMLS statistically speaking is just as you noted, through the months of March, April, and May, it's typically our busiest time. A lot of homeowners list their properties for sale going into summer, hit that spring market time frame. It's very normal annually to see the spring rush. However, with the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a big shift in the marketplace, and none of us knew what was going to take effect this fall. We didn't know how the economy was going to perform in the housing sector. We didn't know what would happen in a normal softening market as we enter into the fall and the winter months. And so it's been a little bit of an unknown, but I would say the good news, Lou, is we have seen the productivity from the spring push into the fall. And what I want to show you there today is looking at August and September, when we normally start to see a slowdown. What we've seen in August is the number of units sold was up 12% compared to 2019. We had over 9,000 units sold in August of this year compared to last year. We're looking at September units are now up 28% sold over the number of units in 2019, with a total of over 8,900 units were sold this year in the month of September, and the agents are extremely busy while working in a new environment. But what's also interesting there is that we know we'll talk about later some inventory constraint aspects, but the dollar volume is up 26% at the end of August compared to last year. Over $3.25 billion in the month of August was transacted through FMLS, helping our brokers and agents of over 47,000 members transact that business. And in September, the dollar volume was up 44% over September of last year with over $3.1 billion. And we often get asked the question, Lou, what's going on with that average sales price out there? The sales price in September was up 15% compared to last year for detached residential listings, up 3% on attached residential listings. Year to date, while we know the number of units are still down year to date with a big hit we took in the spring, the average sales prices are up 6.5% year to date for attached and 3.3% year to date for detached. And I think, Lou, you had mentioned you had a couple of statistics you wanted to point out about what you saw over the 5-year aspects in comparison.
Well, from what I gather, and they're looking at the FMLS site, the average price of a detached home over the last 5 years in the metro area is up about 35 to 37%. And in Cobb County, it's actually up more than that, like 41%. So pretty interesting. If you've been investing in real estate, you've done quite well over the last 5 years. Consider some of the changing environment. What advice do you have, Jeremy, for agents in the current market, and what tools is FMLS providing that agents should be adopting as soon as possible if they have not already done so?
Well, in today's economy, we know that sellers are a little bit unweary as we're looking at how to show their homes in a safe environment. I mean, the good news from a showing perspective, and Showing Time is one of the key platforms we provide out to the industry, is that the showings are up compared to 2019. And a lot of that's fueled by some of the technologies we've provided out to the agents. And we also get asked the question, what kind of recovery are we in potentially in the housing market compared to the April timeframe, if you will? And as you can see on the screen there, Showing Time Statistics, which is a member benefit platform that we provide out to the brokers and agents, are showing in orange, we are outperforming 2019. That's with a lack of inventory, but that's because the agents are also using tools like Remind Live and Cloud CMA Live and Showing Time Live. So they're actually doing showings virtually with technology we started providing this year that they've never used before, and that's helping their business. On top of that, we did launch Remind for all of our agents to help them out, including the brand new state-of-the-art transaction management platform. So agents can fill out listing agreements with their sellers or offers with their buyers electronically with built-in electronic signatures, and do that remotely without having to be in person in front of that buyer or the seller, helping them keep socially and physically distanced in the current pandemic, but write all those offers because of how hot the market is. And I do want to remind all the FMLS members listening out there, the previous product we had that provided some level of functionality called RDocs will be retiring at the end of this year. So we want to encourage everyone out there to adopt Remind, as it combines a lot of products and services for our brokers and agents out there to be able to do transaction management activity, but also tie in with how they do searching and even add edit listings into more than one MLS at once as a free member benefit today. So those are some great aspects of what we're providing out there, Lou. And overall, I really want to encourage them to start looking at and using a lot of those platforms we're offering out to them today.
Speaking of statistics, what have you heard from FMLS members that has been the most challenging in serving their buyers and sellers with today's market conditions?
Well, I think, Lou, the biggest word on the street is inventory. The inventory is substantially down in our marketplace. It's a big issue for agents right now on how to look at their buyers and sellers and to be able to get more properties on the market, because there are a lot of buyers looking right now because there are quite a few favorable conditions, and there's some environmental factors that are changing the way that they want to live in today's environment, if you will. So we have some technology products out there. Remind and Cloud CMA specifically have some great tools to look for options of new inventory. So the Remind platform has this really cool feature called Seller Score. And what they do is they aggregate lifestyle type of events to allow an agent to farm a neighborhood at the parcel level based upon tax data that's available to them nationwide. And they can go in and look within a neighborhood to see who in that neighborhood might have registered for a baby shower. They pull that in to say that homeowner might want to be in a bigger home down the road. And so they give them a seller score from all of those lifestyle factors. And with Cloud CMA, you can take that into a beautiful listing presentation, and you can even include an instant offer as part of that listing presentation out to a potential seller to let them know what options they have out there, if you will. But as we take a look at inventory challenges that are out there, Lou, and I know that this is something that you're well versed with being in Keller Williams, our active listings year to date are down 25% compared to last year. And that is huge. New listings are coming back slowly, but we're still close to 10% down from last year. And rental listings, since we're doing more support for that's up 11%. And that's an additional revenue source for our agents to work with property managers to have more inventory available, because we're in a pandemic situation to where inventory is low. So buyers may have sold their home in this seller's market, but they have no place to go. So the agents can now use FMLS to look for rental properties to bridge the gap so they can find their next home in this low inventory environment, while the agents are retooling themselves to really farm in a more virtual environment with some new technology tools that we're providing.
Jeremy, what's been the activity with new construction compared with home resales, and how is that shaping in today's marketplace compared to pre-COVID-19 and years past?
Well, so the good news provided here by John Hunt and Market Insights is that we are seeing an increase in permits. The bad news that we hear is that the construction process is taking longer. Resources and supplies for new construction are constrained. We have regulations in new construction today we didn't have 10 or 15 years ago. We have new permitting processes that are in place that are a little more time sensitive than we had 10 or 15 years ago. So the new home construction permits are up, but the inventory that's out there is still sluggish to come on the market because of these resource constraints. And at the end of the day, what we're seeing is the new construction homes in certain areas are more expensive than purchasing a resale home out there because of all the factors. And if any of you are living in the greater Atlanta area, you know land is not readily available for a lot of the new construction projects out there. And so it's really important to consider the fact that we don't have the land we did 10 years ago for new neighborhoods, especially from an affordability perspective out there. And so that's what we're seeing out there in the new construction, but it's good to see the permit activity is going up and up. So hopefully we can get a little bit of relief in inventory perspectives. And at FMLS, we also provide agents and brokers the ability to work with builders, and some of the builders are even broker members of FMLS, to put new construction opportunities, even if it's a lot with potential floor plans to pick, to get that inventory into FMLS to help those agents connect their buyers with new construction initiatives going on all over Atlanta, both inside and outside of the perimeter, Lou.
Jeremy, what are your perspective on the interest rates and how they are affecting buying and selling in the greater metro area?
Well, I'm happy to say for my own personal self, Lou, they're at an all-time low because I just got an amazing refi rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage that in the 90s would never even been a conversation, and definitely not in the 70s and the 80s. And we're seeing the interest rates are at an all-time low. And affordability, while we saw those median price increases skyrocket this year compared to last year and compared to 5 years, with the interest rates going as low as 2.5, 2.7% on a 30-year fixed mortgage, there is still affordability factor out there for home buyers and new home buyers. And we also provide down payment resource to allow new home buyers to find a lot of programs to help them over the hump of the down payment so they can make the percentage they need to get into those new low interest rates that are out there. And we are hearing from a lot of mortgage entities, not only the number of refis, but the number of new mortgage applications has been at an all-time high. And we hear, while we can't predict what the government is doing, we hear that they continue to keep those low right now, as the housing economy, compared to a lot of other sectors, is actually one of the strongest economies right now during the pandemic. So we would like to see the Fed keep those rates low as we promote home ownership and promote affordability housing options in the greater Atlanta area at the same time. And we have some great charts here in looking at the recovery and the interest rates here, Lou, as to what we're seeing with April 21st being the bottom. And now we're seeing the number of pending sales continue to climb month after month into these fall and winter timeframes when we normally don't see that activity. And I think that these interest rates are helping affordability and helping buyers lock in those great mortgage rates for those homes they're going to live in for many, many years.
Jeremy, in addition to the interest rates, what are you hearing from agents about today's changing marketplace?
So this is really fun to hear about, Lou. I'm connected with many MLSs across the nation, and we share ideas on a regular basis. We also share some insider statistics of what are the behaviors of agents and how they're looking for their buyers today. And what we hear about now is desires to really consider square footage. Square footage is very important if you're considering that you're now in a home office or partially in a home office, or maybe you're having to homeschool your children, and now the house is a little busier potentially than it used to be. And we also see in Atlanta, the traffic is not as bad in the suburbs as it has been year after year, as a lot of companies have moved to a more virtual environment. And so we see the consumer behavior on searching start to look more towards square footage. So we added in a couple additional fields to help and included above and below ground square footage for the agents to put that information in, because we're seeing the agents search for those type of features of a home more extensively. They're looking at acreage. They're looking at things like, does it have a wine cellar? Are there tennis courts available? What outdoor parks are nearby? What is the ability to get to a park close by from a home? And so we're seeing a lot of changes in what consumers are looking for because of the pandemic. And a lot of those changes are resulting in a change in search behaviors. And we've tried to modify what we provide from the MLS perspective in fields and search functionality to help those agents more easily find the characteristics their buyers are looking for. And at the same time, I have to encourage those sellers to fill out as much on a listing detail sheet as they can with their agents, because there are a lot of things people are looking for today that they did not look for just 2 simple years ago, if you will. And so that's something that's really interesting to watch. And we want to help the brokers and agents in any way we can to serve their buyers and sellers in looking for those new classifications of features on homes.
Jeremy, data is a huge factor, I know, if we're helping agents be successful. What has FMLS done recently to expand what is available to agents?
Well, just like the fields that we discussed, we're in an environment where consumers are much more intense with the data they want to see on a home before they go see it in person or via live stream. And they're more sensitive about their time. So we're trying to expand all the data elements. We added in earlier this year nationwide tax data, so agents can look at what's going on in other states with properties and with buyers and sellers in those markets. But also locally closer to home, we recognize Atlanta's getting much larger. So we formed an exclusive partnership with the Middle Georgia MLS. And so now Atlanta agents, members of FMLS, can see all of the data in Macon and see those properties that are available in the Macon Middle Georgia MLS and a lot of the regions there, such as the Warren Robins Air Force Base, and create a referral network. And likewise, Macon is able to now see inventory in the Atlanta market through the data share we've established with them, so that we have another set of agents that might have buyers moving to the Atlanta market or moving to the Macon market. And we now have a pathway via data for sales referral between our sets of agents. And we're going to keep doing that, Lou. We're in talks with other MLSs and other entities today. We want to continue to expand the property database that's available to the FMLS members and make it an exclusive member benefit for them to have access in the state of Georgia, but also outside of the state of Georgia, not only for primary residences, but also secondary residences, which is still a hot buying market in today's environment, especially when you can drive to a secondary vacation home and you're not comfortable with getting on the plane to fly there.
Jeremy, what are some of the other opportunities for agents to earn alternative revenue in today's market by leveraging FMLS?
Well, a big aspect of what we've expanded this year, Lou, and I know it's a little close to home to you being primarily in the commercial space, is supporting commercial lease properties. We've had requests for years and not had support for that. And we launched that early this year, and we have seen a huge boom in commercial lease properties being marketed through FMLS. So now commercial brokers and agents can join and list those properties to get the same level of exposure that we provide for our residential customers. And we did a similar thing with rentals last year, not thinking about lack of inventory this year in the COVID pandemic. And that's where we see the rentals that are available in FMLS continue to increase. And the last thing I would say, Lou, is that some portals out there, such as Zillow, are now charging property managers per day on listing rental properties directly. But if Zillow gets that rental from FMLS, there's no fee to the property manager, and the agent can give that property manager maximum exposure while the agent can earn a small commission on that rental. And in Atlanta, as many as you all know more than I do, there are $5,000 penthouses all over downtown Atlanta, and those are hugely available through FMLS and getting millions of exposures from potential renters out there for a lot of those properties that can help really earn agents commission in today's environment when rentals and we know the commercial lease landscape is changing. So really want to do that. We also added in an appraisal program. We now provide CE accredited training to appraisers. We provide them with member benefit appraisal software that connects with the MLS and provides what are needed for those special appraisal forms that are out there in an automated fashion to make them more efficient. We've expanded statuses to include coming soon listings to be able to expose all of your inventory, no matter what type of property it is, in a coming soon status. So brokers and agents with buyers that are standing by can get ready to see that home once they've fixed it up and staged it and gotten it ready to sell. And as I encourage everyone, the exposure aspect of FMLS, I mean, we are seeing millions upon millions of hits once you put your listing into FMLS by broker websites, agent websites, brokers and agents in the MLS, clients they've set up, real estate portals, and technology products for marketing services. And so the exposure we provide is unparalleled to any other MLS in the state. And that's an area where commercial can use us for advertising purposes automatically across everywhere in and outside of the United States, Lou.
Jeremy, a growing area in real estate, is the wholesalers? What are your thoughts about that industry, and how can FMLS benefit those people in advertising and connecting to buyers and sellers?
Well, it's a great question, Lou. And the wholesaler market has been changing, obviously. We've seen a difference in patterns from millennials. What we hear from the researchers is that in today's market, millennials want home ownership, but they want it in a little bit different environment. And some of those wholesalers out there are buying up houses, renting them, but also allowing those homeowners who are changing their thought process to buy shares in those type of investors. And we want to encourage those wholesalers to also leverage FMLS through licensed real estate brokers and agents who can help them go through the potentially dangerous litigation waters of doing contracts with potential buyers and sellers or even potential renters. We have a lot of great forms that are provided to our brokers and agents that have been vetted out for years and years by organizations like the Georgia National or the Georgia State Association of Realtors. And we really want the wholesalers to work with licensed brokers and agents, but then use FMLS, list those properties with us, or use it for their farming and buying experience, because again, the exposure that they get there is really unparalleled. And I think it's a great place for them. And at the same time, we do a lot at FMLS to protect the data integrity of the listings that are in FMLS. We do an enormous amount of work in helping the brokers and agents ensure there's buyers listings are exposed and the sellers listings are exposed to as many out there as possible to make sure the sellers get the best price or the buyers can make the best educated offer. And in an environment we're in today with low inventory, unfortunately, it leads us into activities where there's pocket listings, and our compliance department stays on top of that, as well as GREC in the state of Georgia. So if you're a wholesaler, if you're an investor, we want to encourage you to work with licensed brokers and agents, and also encourage them to work with FMLS for hunting for properties or listing properties, and at the same time help us provide you all the compliance services and data integrity we've been doing for over 63 years at FMLS to make sure it's the best experience possible for everyone involved in the transaction, Lou.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's great to have you on the show this month again, and really good information. And if you would like to have a copy of this show, you could send me an email, lou@louwheelan.com, and we'll be sending it out to the realtors via MailChimp as well, and I think it'll probably be on the First Multiple Listing Service website, fmls.com, for access by agents. There's a lot of extremely good information in here. You might want to listen to this show again and try to absorb all the content. It was amazing, and thank you, Jeremy, for all you do. It's amazing what a great job that you've done, and you really came at a good time with your technology background and couldn't be more perfectly suited for this environment with the COVID-19 issues. Thank you very much, Jeremy, and thank you very much for listening. Again, if you would like to hear the show, another way is on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com. Thank you for listening and watching, and have a nice day.